So this is a video on section 2 of the FSA pathway, both 1 and 2 assessment document. You've got Steve Millis here and Tony Holes. And just before we go on, remember, make sure you've got the latest assessment tool downloaded from eLearn. Make sure in each section you read these instructions that are in the red drop downs really thoroughly. And remember, you've got some examples that you've been provided with and the learner guide for reference. So this part here, Tony, is just asking for the student to outline, what they're doing in the building and who for and whatnot. And it's required for the unit of competence, but I guess why else is it important? What could they use that information for? We'll do with it.
Okay, so if you're going to, if somebody's engaging you to do a report of some kind, then your header on the report should include, why you're doing the report. So in the course notes or the learner guide, if you look up purpose of the assessment, there's a paragraph there that just you could copy and paste into there, and you could use that as a header for the report that you're providing to somebody. And so essentially, you're just saying, I'm conducting this on behalf of this person, and I'm doing it for the purpose of. And as you said, it's required for the unit of competency. However, it does form a part of the whole process in general.
Yeah. And I just a thought came to me there. I think it's almost like you're stating the contract that you've got between yourself and the client.
Yeah.
And
100%.
It could be relevant to also put in there, specifically what you're doing, which measures, whether you're doing part of the building or or the whole building.
Yep.
So that contract is clear between the assessor and the client.
Yeah, that's right. Why am I here and what am I doing?
Yeah. And then this section here, the AFSS due date, there's no instructions there, but what we're looking for is, have you conducted your inspection in the relevant time frame according to the due date? So have you conducted it prior to the due date?
Yeah, oftentimes, and I use this quite a bit when we're doing these assessments, Steve. It's a lot of this is all about validity. So a report needs to be valid, and dates and specific information that relates directly to that particular task, or in this case, building or process, is validated by looking at the date on the AFSS, for example, which we asked them to provide, and then looking at the date that the inspection was taken place. And somebody puts in, the inspection was taken place before the AFSS was even issued, then it's not valid.
Mm.
And also, we want to make sure that I also use this so that when we're providing evidence to support a decision, which is all of the test and inspect records or records that would relate directly to that measure, I'm looking at the dates of those reports, because not compiling that and keeping that evidence for yourself, or having a baseline that you're using to make your decision on whether a measure passes or fails, it's really important that you're using current and up-to-date records. So I go back to that oftentimes when I'm looking at service records and stuff, and we get to section 5 and 6, and go, well, is this record valid for the purpose of the inspection that was done?
Yeah.
Because anybody can provide test and inspect records.
Yep.
Oh, okay. And that also needs to be done maximum of any of those records need to be completed 3 months. Like the final yearly inspection on a building shouldn't be any more than 3 months prior to this report being done.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been caught out there a few times. Okay, now this next section here again, is required for the unit of competence. And, you know, we at Axiom here, we need evidence that you've communicated with the client, or that you're capable of communicating with the client. So what I mean by that is, often you might be an assessor that works for a larger company, and a lot of the scheduling and the communication is done through your administration team. So if that's the case, what you can do is create an email that you would send to that client, create a draft. You can save the draft directly from your email platform that you're using, and upload that into your assessment material and create a hyperlink here. But this will be really easy if you're dealing directly with the client. So you must have your name at the bottom of the correspondence, because you'll just be able to supply the emails that you actually sent. So there's one here notifying the client of your assessment date, or the due date, and then when you're going to be there. And there's another email required here that must show that you've asked for the required baseline data for that inspection. So whether that's fire safety schedule, building plans, plans of the system, any other material that you're going to need to make an informed decision. And then the final email is an email that you would send to the client, or have sent to the client after your inspection, indicating that you've done your inspection and that you've got the reports attached to that email. And it's a good idea in that final email to bring to their attention anything that needs to be rectified, or any other issues.
Competency is quite specific on that one too, Steve.
Yeah.
It does require, that's the reason, like I have seen these assessments where somebody's just provided the same email for each of the parts, and
Yes.
it's just not acceptable, because we just can't validate this process. So
yeah, so really make sure you provide these really 3 distinct emails where you're notifying that you're coming, when the AFSS is due, and when you're going to be there. Also requesting baseline data, and be specific about what you're going to need for that, the measure or measures that you're assessing. And then a final one indicating to the client that you've done your inspection, reports are attached, and, you know, bringing their attention to any issues that need to be resolved.